All here at the Kigali Convention Center for the second day of Africa CEO Forum 2026, and I'm joined by Amadou Gallo. He has played a major role in developing basketball in Africa and connecting the continent to the global opportunities through sports. As we gather here to this year's platform, the African CEO Forum, which focuses on investment, growth, but at the same time, youth opportunity. And sport has really been one of the key main, I would say, investors in terms of like giving youth opportunities and job. As we're starting off this conversation, Amadou, maybe you can help us understand, also connect sports and what you guys are doing as BAL, but at the same time, this year's theme. Why should we embrace the shared ownership as a continent, as Africa?
We have a huge opportunity in Africa because our biggest asset is really our demographic dividend. You got the majority of the population made up of youth, and it is important that we get this youth engaged in positive social activities and give them reasons to dream big, to have high ambition. And sports is a language that they speak, and sport is the greatest equalizers. It inspires, and today, talking about the Basketball Africa League, the Basketball Africa League is a culmination of many decades of work that we have been engaged on the continent to promote basketball, to grow it from grassroots level, and we've created a pathway now from grassroots to elite, where young people can have access to playing the game, and through our academies, they can be identified, the elite talent, and given an opportunity to develop their full potential. Now, a young African talent doesn't have to feel like they have to go somewhere else in order to maximize their talent. We've proven that we can produce elite talent on the continent. And now, taking it to the Basketball Africa League, it was important to create this platform where all these ideas in terms of using sports as an economic growth engine could be materialized. That's what the league is. And this is where, you need partnerships. And this is why with people with whom we have a shared vision, Africa is a massive continent that is very diverse. It is important to make sure that we can form the type of partnerships with the private public sector that can help scale the opportunity to make sure that Africa's sports contribution to the global sports industry is bigger than what it is today.
What role do you think BAL is playing in terms of like upscaling the Africa's economy? You kind of talked about job opportunities. We do have the Basketball African that is coming up now in Rwanda. What are some of the opportunities? Maybe you can tap on that and point them that you think you guys are, contributing in the economy, Africans on the continent, and you guys have been doing it for quite some time now since the partnership has been going on.
Very concrete term, at the conclusion of our fourth season, we engage a third party to do an economic impact study, and the results was that $250 million have been contributed to the GDPs of countries where we play, and about 37,000 jobs have been created. You can see it here in Kigali when we bring our finals here. All the activities that are happening around the arena, there is commerce, you see jobs in tech, web services, transportations, hotels, and culinary arts. All these using the convening power of basketball. So that's what we meant when we talked about launching the BAL becoming an economic growth engine for the continent that will create jobs and still continuing to inspire the next generation to play the game, and also to have a place where right here on the continent they can start playing the game and becoming professional without necessarily having to leave the continent. The partnerships we formed, for example, with the Rwanda Development Board here in Rwanda has been foundational, and it's been now 6 years going, but we've seen, tremendous evolution, both from a standpoint of this infrastructure, Kigali Arena that's been built, how it is now activated when we bring the finals, and now how the RDB have gone beyond just this tournament to host other events, that are bringing revenues to the country, that is creating jobs also.
Many young people in Africa have talent, but there is also the lack of facilities when it comes to that. There is training, but at the same time, exposure. What practical steps are needed to really go beyond and achieve, even go to the next level of practical ways of like developing in terms of like the talent that we have, in terms of like also this where we are right now. We are the African CEO Forum where we have so many CEOs, a private sector that's also contributing a lot to the economy of different countries. What are some of the practical ways do you think can be put in place in different countries? Because I feel like right now, as we're here in Rwanda, so many countries are in Rwanda right now as we speak. What do you think are some of those steps and practical ways can be put in place?
When you have this convening and of diverse people from multiple sectors in industry, you got governments, heads of states, and champion captains of industries, from entertainment to sport to tech to just business in general, coming in one place with a common goal, common purpose. We want to move Africa forward. We're looking at ways to make sure that Africa can rely on Africa and Africans and African businesses to not only, move forward, but leverage its resources, transform its resources, and make sure that it benefits its people all across the continent. And for us, we're talking about creating an industry around basketball that will create jobs, that is going to continue to uplift communities. We know what sports contribute in terms of just, promoting a healthier community and society. But now we're talking about sports as an economic driver.
Yes.
That, countries are realizing that it can be as important as the, energy sector, that is, obviously contributing to GDPs. In the same vein, our talent can also create tremendous economic value.
Definitely.
We have incredibly huge ambitions with the league. We want to, take the Basketball Africa League to become one of the premier professional sports league in the world in years to come. So, and I think we share the same vision and ambition with many other, sectors, whether it's in government. I think any government anywhere in Africa should have a youth agenda, because that's the demographic dividend that we talked about. That we got to make sure that we are inspiring this youth to be ambitious. We make sure that we're equipping this youth and keep them focused on really, some positive activities, and sport provides that. And we've started a long time ago, to really establish this pathway now from grassroots to elite, where we're providing opportunity for young people to participate in the sports, and gradually to identify elite talent that could, really play across the Basketball Africa League. That's what we are starting to see with this league, with 12 teams from 12 different African countries. But to meet those ambitions, we need to bring along partners that share the same vision, share the same commitment. And I talked about the Rwanda Development Board, but there are other partners in multiple sectors, in banking, in telco, obviously, outfitting that are coming in. They all are also interested in growing their businesses in Africa. And I think in the end, everybody benefits, and that's the only way we can scale the opportunity and meet our ambitions.
In few coming days, we'll be having the BA also happen. We'll have the first day that is coming up in few days, some of the great performances. We can't wait to witness also the biggest play games and playoffs and all that. So thank you so much for joining us, Amadou. We're glad we had this conversation.
Thank you. And yes, super excited about the DL finals, season 6 final coming up May 22nd to 31st here at Kigali Arena.
Yes, and we are joined by Amadou Gallo, who has played a major role in terms of like developing basketball in Africa, and has connected the continent from the global opportunities through sports. And that was it from the interview. Thank you so much for joining us.